Regrettable, what the North Koreans are now saying about a certain visit on the part of the Secretary of State to their country. To Rich Hudson in Tokyo with the very latest. Rich, what's going on?
Neil, the Secretary of State just arrived here in Tokyo a short while ago. He said that he had productive meetings with North Korea in Pyongyang. He left North Korea just a short while before landing here in Tokyo. And now the North Korean Foreign Ministry is saying the conversations that they had with the Secretary of State were regrettable and that the demands from the United States regarding North Korea surrendering its nuclear weapons program are very concerning. Now, the Secretary of State said that he had productive meetings, that they were making progress. He said there are complicated issues. All of the central issues, though, that there was some progress made when he met over the last 2 days in Pyongyang with top North Korean officials. He says there's some places of a great deal of progress, but other places that there's still more work to be done. So the State Department said after the Pyongyang meetings that the United States and North Korea would establish some working groups to try to get through these very difficult issues. But it gets to the heart of this issue with the administration saying that Kim Jong-un and President Trump are on the same page with wanting to get rid of nuclear weapons in North Korea, though there are real questions as to how North Korea defines that, how it's going to surrender these nuclear weapons, and what it's going to get in return. Now, the Secretary of State did say months ago that it expected throughout these negotiations that there would be peaks and valleys of these discussions, but they're coming pretty close to one another here, Neil. Back to you.
Rich, thank you very much. The read from Washington right now, that's where you'll find our Jillian Turner. Jillian, this sort of came out of the blue. I mean, we got all happy talk coming certainly out of the administration, and more to the point, the Secretary of State. What happened?
Neil, we have this statement that Mike Pompeo made just before his departure. It was only a couple of hours after he wrapped up his last round of talks with some of Kim Jong-un's top deputies, and he said, "We made progress on almost all of the central issues." So this is really a markedly different tone coming out of the North Koreans on the heels of the very same meetings. As Rich was talking about, the disconnect, I think, gets to the sources time and time again have been telling me over the last few weeks, which is that the U.S. and the North are not in agreement on what the term denuclearization actually entails and what it means. And I think that is finally coming to bear now. We're seeing that in the day after these two historic talks wrapped up.
What's a little weird is whatever difference in the language, denuclearization means less of the nuclear thing, by and large. They have been increasing nuclear activity. That's quite clear at a couple of these facilities. So they're not on the same page here, and I'm just wondering what our official response is likely to be.
Well, so President Trump came out of this June summit in Singapore, and he said Kim Jong-un had made a direct commitment to him to denuclearize. But now what the North is saying is that the United States, the Pompeo delegation, was unilaterally putting too much pressure on them to abandon their nuclear weapons. So what that tells us is that they don't see denuclearization as necessarily entailing them giving up their programs, which is why they're continuing with them. We don't necessarily know that they're increasing, but we do know that at a minimum they're continuing. They're continuing to pursue improvements at least one uranium enrichment facility called Yongbyon, and probably two others as well. They're also continuing to build up a nuclear capable submarine on their east coast. So the sort of aggressive hostile activity has been at a minimum continuing all along during these negotiations.
Jillian, thank you very, very much. To Jillian's point, by the way, that nuclear facility was apparently not on the table of issues that they were talking about when they were meeting with the President of the United States, when Kim Jong-un was meeting with them. So that hence their argument that this is much ado about nothing, and the United States is backing them into a corner. Separately, we are learning